And here we go. It's time for another sprint zone. And we start back a little further, at least back further than I have in the past couple of weeks. And we get a good shot of the crew. Looking rearward, we got Ilka fresh back from her training camp in Germany. We've got Byron there and a whole gaggle of people. They could be slightly more organized at this part of the road, but because of all the potholes, we control the lane here, so that is our reason for that one. Up front, Curtis coming back a little further to the left than I would like him to be, but controlling the lane nevertheless, and that's okay. Got Anna there in the red right in front of me, back from her training camp in Arizona. So it is going to be a good one today. Lots of women. This might be a record with Isla up there and Elisa also. A very good day. And as always, I'd like to thank those who contribute their telemetry and data. This week, it is Scott and Curtis. And of course, as always, I am thankful for Scott's video because I'm usually not there these days. Everyone coasting in, trying to get a little bit of recovery, and looking at our heart rates. Very similar between Scott and myself. Curtis is a little bit higher, but he was doing a lot of working out early on. Could be that I got the heart rate data wrong. Sometimes I do that, but that's neither here nor there or that important. Looking at the wattage, things look pretty good there. It looks like I've got like 0 watts for a period of time. I don't know if my power meter wasn't working, but I'd like to assure people that I do not have a motor on my bike and that the watts I do generate are in fact mine. Greg going to the front, getting the party started, and it looks like my watts are starting to come good. Scott pushing good wattage, and it looks like Curtis is pushing good wattage back there, more than all of us. And it's up and down. Looking at the 30-second wattage, 60, 70, 120 something. Looks like I am sitting in quite nicely here. Good shot of Wolfgang, Elisa, Josh as I make my way to the front. There goes Daniel. Looks like Marcelo. And I probably would have done myself a better of a favor if I had just like sat in. But I don't want to be too far back, especially when B Train is at the front and there are riders that are just looking to hang on. And sometimes, and I've stated this many times, they gap people, and with a lot of riders in front, you look up and it's like, how'd that 5-rider gap open up? Because the etiquette, the courtesy that I'm hoping people will learn here is if you cannot hold the wheel in front of you, pull over and wiggle your elbow to let people know to come through for a couple of reasons. One, it's courtesy so they can grab the wheel. Two, you can sag back and get some recovery here. It is foolish to sit out there and just push the wind by yourself. And I'm hoping that people will learn this. And here we go. We're picking up John Lawyer up here as he goes to the front. And it's not really cheating, but there's an advantage to doing that. He's strong enough as it is, but it doesn't really make a difference. Like if he and Byron wait for us or whatever. But if I waited to the top of the hill and saved myself a little bit of wattage, and looking at the map, it looks like almost 3/4 of a mile saved. Just noted. Anyway, everybody is in a big pack, and I believe there was a little bit of headwind up here, and that was making it a little bit challenging, and it was a crosswind off of our right shoulder, so we have a lot of echelon there. Looking at the wattage numbers here, it looks like Curtis is way back there pushing lots of watts into the wind. It looks like I've got the lowest 30-second power at this point, and Scott and I are actually pretty close, but Curtis pushing a lot of wattage for 30 seconds. He's either out there in the wind or he's coming up towards us. There goes Greg, done his turn at the front. Thank you for your service. Marcelo comes through, looking up front at Scott's camera in the upper right. 27 miles per hour. So it is no picnic here. Wolfgang looking strong there on that opulent bike. JC, who we haven't seen for a long time, and I really wish I would have had his power numbers. It wasn't until I saw the video that OMG. Anyway, back to my suffering. So I'm on Jamie's wheel. Jamie is very tenacious. She is quick to grab the wheel, and sometimes I would think to a fault because, and even myself, I'm further up than I want to be, and I can't hold this. It was just too much of a struggle. So I had to give up the ghost and pull back here, hoping to recover and sag back. So my instantaneous power here, about 300 watts or so, and I kind of slot in, and there's enough of a draft for me to just make contact with these people. Scott, on the other hand, is looking good in the middle of the pack, and there's JC biding his time. And then I can see that Jamie finally gives it up, and she comes off on the right here. She hung in there for a long time, and what you really want to do is you want to hang in there till you have a little something, because you can tell when you are going over your red line, when you have to struggle, and you're not going to be able to take advantage of a group that's this big. But luckily, I'm okay. Made it back in, and there's a look at Jamie struggling back there. I mean, her head is down, and she is going for it, and we'll see if she makes it there. Looks like Mr. Lawyer dancing on the yellow line here, questionable. And I did see a violation earlier on. If you rewind the film, as soon as we made the corner onto Prospect, there is a rider on a gold bike that violates the rules of engagement, crossing the yellow line there. And I was like, what? We just made the right on the Prospect. Why are we across the yellow line? Anyway, enough said about that, but it is one of those days where we're going to be pushing it, and people are beginning to fall off as I make my way through. And at this point, folks could not hold the wheels ahead of them, and I could have held the wheels. I just didn't have enough at this point to be able to close the gap, and it's unfortunate that just opened up. So I'm just sitting back here, and who knows? It looks like those guys are going pretty hard. Looking at Scott's 30-second power, over 300 watts. Yeah, I might not have been able to be there. Curtis also over 300 watts, and the selection has been made. And here I am back on the struggle bus, looking at Scott's camera, and this is why I wanted or should have asked for JC's power. He is out front, and he is drilling it. And you know that if Scott is sitting in at 240 watts, you know JC has to be putting down at least 300, 330 or so, and he is not asking for any help. He is asserting authority here and letting people know this is indeed what a super is about. He had let Scott own the sprint zone for a while, sat back, watched the videos, and it was time for the return of the supers. Looks like that might have been a little bit of a wiggle there. Can't tell. But no, Scott is not coming through. And the rest of us back on the struggle bus are beginning to reel those in who are riding above their station. So it looks like Marcelo, Greg, and I keeping up some decent power. Although my numbers look pretty low here. I'm like, what is up with that? Maybe I was tired or something. Or my power meter wasn't calibrated. It was a little bit low, because I think these numbers are a little lower than what is being displayed here. Anyway, continuing to look at the upper right, and I would have switched to the main camera for this, but it's just JC out there drilling it at 27 miles an hour. No one has come around in the longest time, and he's been out there for, my guess, the better part of a mile as the rest of us struggle back here. Head down, and there is a little bit of teamwork here as we begin to go for it to reel those in that had been dispatched from the main selection. Greg looking good back there. Sturgeon looking good. Marcelo pushing really hard there as we're making the bid to catch these people in front of us. But we look at JC still out front. No one, not Byron, no one has gone to the front until now. And there we go. The final attack is going there. Curtis is up there. Byron up there challenging JC. And they are going for it. And it looks like this is one of the rare times that Scott is not there for the final selection. Normally it is blue skies. Perhaps it is a changing of the guard, or perhaps his training schedule, and that is what I'm going to say it is. All those miles, that increased load is taking its toll. But well done. Well done here. Got Marcelo on my wheel as it looks like, I think maybe Greg is in front of me or doing something. Yeah, so it looks like Josh and Greg as we are starting to pull these in. Greg makes a nice little surge here. It looks like we're going to bring in the rabble to solidify our position here. Working hard. Yeah, I got to believe that my power meter is like not quite right. Maybe I should have calibrated it. But anyway, relative power is good nevertheless. Greg pulling these in, and it looks like, who are we bringing back? It looks like, who do we got here? Oh, is that Elisa? Yeah, drop from the fold. And here I go. Time to make my final push to the front and do some work here. We're almost there. And we can see it looks like Scott is in no man's land doing 17 miles an hour. Still some good wattage. And I'm going to bring it home here. I could have worked maybe a little less, but I was like, okay, let's just push hard here and see if we can catch people. And it looks like we brought back, it looks like Daniel. Yep. Dropped from the selection. And the windy days, it's taking its toll because these are strong men that are usually able to sit in. Marcelo looking strong there. Nice smooth stroke there. Greg looking good there. We have our little posse of 4 as we come towards the crest here. And I'm pushing pretty hard here. And I'm thinking Marcelo wants to go around me to claim his spot, in the top 15 or whatever. But I'm thinking, no, let's just see what I can push here. I've been out there for a little bit. Let's just see if he has what it takes to go around. But I don't really want him to go around. Yeah, and you can see everyone's working hard, and Greg is dispatched. Daniel is able to hold on. And I see the tree, and there's the mailbox, and it's almost time to, shut it down. This car's been behind us for a little while, somewhat patient. That's cool. And he comes around. Now, at this point, I'm over to the far right. I'm not certain why these guys are still in the middle of the road. There's really not any need to still be out in the middle of the road and recover. I think we need to work on that part because we don't really need to be there. We need to have a little more cognizant of what the motorists are about. So here I'm coming up looking good. And then this was a kind of an abrupt stop here. I guess Marcelo was waving the car through, but I almost ran into him because I was not expecting him to hit the brakes. Anyway, we make the turn here, and a good time was had by all. I guess it was a good battle by Byron and JC up there. Not quite certain who won that one. Guessing it was probably probably Byron. But that was impressive to see the supers go at it. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that one. In any case, that's it. Almost. So I accidentally rendered more video than I had intended to. And so we actually have the second sprint zone on this one, but I won't make you wait for all of that. Kind of all over the road here. We should probably be getting a little more organized, but we're picking up people. Let me just kind of scroll here and bring this forward a little bit as we come through. Now we're getting a little bit more organized as we head down towards the turn. But still, I'd rather see 2x2 here. We're starting to get this whole peloton thing where the weak people want to try to keep their position near the front. But come on. This should be like a team ride, 2x2x2x2x2. There's no reason to be 3-4 abreast at this point. I'll keep hammering on this until we get this right. Moving on a little further here, and what do we have? It's into the second sprint zone, and I will say this, that the rules of engagement are that everyone must be around the corner before the fun begins. Otherwise, it's like what happens. People fighting for front position, and that's not good. And because I just rendered this normally, it's going to just be a forward facing camera, no rear views here. And I don't even know I need to say anything for this one. Maybe I'll just let you guys watch this, and I'll just sit back and we'll have a moment of silence. Or not. Still kind of all over the road. It's a good thing there's really no cars back there. Byron going to the front. So Byron has to go way out because, come on, people, 2x2x2x2. But I guess it turns into a pack. It looks like somebody's out front, maybe like JC going hard there. But I guess and I think Mr. Porter pointed this out, it really doesn't matter if we're all over the road. If a car isn't going to split lanes and they have to go around us anyhow, then being bunched up isn't so bad because it's a smaller group to go around. You know, this is debatable. Unfortunately, I don't know if motorists see it that way. It's probably more of an academic discussion, and I would probably argue with the taking of the whole lane because it forces people to not split lanes and to give us the room that the law indeed affords us. But as you can see, like, everybody's here. You know, everybody's just hanging on here. And you can just watch. There's a few people that normally don't make the highlights of the sprint zone, and they get their name mentioned. And there's Rob there in his Velo 1 kit. Isla there in her Swiss kit. She reminds me of Yolanda Neff, world famous mountain biker, Swiss mountain biker. Nice look. I like that kit. And everyone's just sitting in here, just sitting in. Somebody's way off the front, just sitting in. And this is, of course, not the Queen stage. So I don't usually talk about this one because it's, I think, only 2 miles. And there's not much strategy, there's not much tactic, there's nothing really to talk about here except for people just like sitting in. Yep, sitting in. Still sitting. Yep, and given the speeds, there must have been a headwind, which is allowing everybody to stay together. But on the plus side, it's a chance to let people know what they look like. What does this group look like? Because half the time, when they got race brain or whatever, they're just like all over the place. And this will give me an opportunity to talk about something that I read in Don Doherty's SOAR guidelines about overlapping wheels. People, stop overlapping wheels. Stop riding as close as if you are pro riders. I see so many riders. They're saving maybe 5 or 6 watts by being closer than they need to be. And they're sacrificing reaction time and stress. It would be a lot better if you would just ride like a team ride, 2x2, and call it good. Now, of course, this is the sprint zone, and I'm not in particular talking about this, but overlapping wheels, not good when you're not going for it. I saw a crash almost the other day. I was behind someone, overlap wheels. They swung over to the left. That rider behind him had to swing over, and then I had to watch out because I didn't know what they were going to do. I thought there might have been a crash. But anyhow, looks like the final portion of the sprint, Lisa looking good. Look at that hair just blowing in the wind. I think maybe that should be braided. I think there was supposed to be an aerodynamic to braided hair. They hadn't figured out why, but it looks like that might be something you might want to do in the future. But the kits, the First City team kits, look good this year, and there are lots of them on this ride. And Greg doing an incredible pull up front, bringing us home to claim a reasonable spot. And at this point, I'm finally somewhat warmed up, kind of sitting in. I could have went around, but I'm like, this is good. Fighting for 19th place, no big deal. But I guess there is honor placing as high on this one as you can. Or maybe not so much honor, but It teaches mental toughness and not to give up. So at this point, Greg pulls off. Here's some others coming through, claiming their rightful spots, wheel suckers, if you will. Not all of them, but to come by at that kind of speed, there must have been some sucking of wheels someplace. In any case, there you go. Second sprint zone. Not that exciting. And the cars wave us through, and we go through en masse as if we were a tractor trailer. It saves time, is somewhat predictable. All right, guys, until next time, peace out, and I hope you enjoyed that one. Until this point, actually, I'm going to pause this. Okay, there are lots of people in the middle of the road that don't need to be here when this is like the regroup point. I'm not in the middle of the road. Greg's not in the middle of the road. There are people just all bunched up. I mean, this is the regroup point, but why are we in the middle of the road? Why aren't we just taking our spot in line? But I know why. Because people want to try to get a position higher than their station up front so they get to hang on a little bit longer. And so they end up like just fighting for stuff. But like look at this. Like, we are out in the middle of the road and we do not need to be. I mean, this is a bad habit. And maybe this will upset people, and maybe they won't come because I don't like it. It's not cool. And eventually we do kind of get lined up, but probably because somebody yelled car back. But come on, guys. We should be over to the right, especially when there's plenty of shoulder. Thank you, and good night.